It's time to start your morning by taking 5. Here's your host, Matt McMaster.
You're listening to Take 5, a quick 5-minute take on the biggest things happening in Nebraska sports. I'm your host, Matt McMaster, and yesterday was day 1 of the NCAA tournament. Today, day 2 of the NCAA tourney begins in around an hour about recording this. We'll get into some of my picks later into the show, but first, we will talk about the events that happened yesterday. First with the Omaha Mavericks. Unfortunately, their magical season comes to an end. It was a great year for the Mavs to win the Summit League regular season title, to be the Summit League tournament champions, to make their first ever NCAA tournament. But unfortunately, they ran into a buzzsaw that is the St. John's Red Storm, who are playing like one of the better teams in the country. It was a valiant effort. Unfortunately for Omaha, what it came down to was they just could not find their stride from three. 5 of 36 from beyond the arc, 13.9%. Just not good enough. Overall, 18 from 70 from the field, 25% field goal percentage. Look, I mean, you weren't expecting Omaha to shoot 55, 60% against a St. John's team, but some of these three-point looks that they got early in the game were honestly quality, and they just couldn't knock them down. And when you play a 2 seed as a 15, you got to catch fire. You got to get hot. And unfortunately for Omaha, they just couldn't find that. Despite all that, they were only down 5 heading into the second half. I mean, they played some really, really good defense. I mean, heck, they even out-rebounded St. John's in the first half, and they ended up only 2 rebounds below the Red Storm's mark. But it just wasn't enough, and then the Johnnies came out in the second half, and they could not miss from 3. And that's a team that once they get going from beyond the arc, no one can stop them. R.J. Lewis hit 5 threes yesterday. Aaron Scott hit 2 threes yesterday. Simeon Wilcher hit 3 threes yesterday. They shot 38% from beyond the arc. It's just one of those days where, man, They played really hard. They wanted it, but at the end of the day, they couldn't hit the shots, and St. John's just kind of wore down on them. And St. John's wears down on everybody. I mean, that's how they play basketball. They are in your face. They're physical. They're probably following you, and it's not being called, but that's just how they've won so many basketball games this year. And the second half, when the game was getting a little bit out of hand, you can just kind of feel the pressure cave in a bit on the Mavericks. But once again, this is not a season to hang your head about if you're Omaha. I mean, they accomplished things that, no team before them had accomplished. And so Coach Chris Crutchfield, Markel Sutton, Cam Thomas, Tony Osborne, Isaac Anaconda, who had a really good game yesterday, everyone in between, Adrian Dowell, Chancellor Lee, should be incredibly proud of what this team accomplished. Moving on to the other team in Omaha, the Creighton Bluejays looked incredible yesterday against the Louisville Cardinals. It was a bit of a spar in the first half until around 10 minutes to go. The Blue Jays began their run and ended up taking a massive lead. I think it was a 15-point lead heading in to the second half, and they did not look back. Ryan Kalkbrenner was an absolute menace in the paint, on the boards. His defensive prowess proved to be a massive kryptonite for the Louisville Cardinals, who just couldn't get into the paint, and then without their best three-point shooter, Rain Smith, couldn't find it from deep, and then Jemiah Neal turned into Stephon Marbury. I mean, he looked absolutely incredible, getting to the basket, using the mid-range whenever he wanted. Greg McDermott did an awesome job coaching circles around Pat Kelsey, getting actions moving toward the basket whenever he wanted it, and getting great matchups for Jemiah whenever it need be. And so Creighton moves on to the second round, where they will take on the number 1 overall seed, Auburn Tigers. Auburn's the number 1 overall seed for a reason. They are struggling a little bit. Losers of 3 of their last 4 heading into the tournament. And then yesterday against Alabama State, was sleepwalking for a big majority of that first half. So if Creighton plays the way they played yesterday and Auburn plays the way they played yesterday, Creighton will win the basketball game, plain and simple. I think the key here for Creighton is securing or at least containing Auburn's three-point shooters, Denver Jones and Miles Kelly. I think Auburn is your classical analytical team. They're going to get to the hoop whenever they want, and they're going to punish you from three-pointers if you are going to collapse in on them. Denver Jones, Miles Kelly, both 40% three-point shooters this year for the Tigers. Got to make sure that you close in on them and that you're good on the outside and you're contesting and running them off the line. At the same time, Creighton has one thing that not a lot of teams have, and that's a dominant big man on both sides of the aisle, both on offense and on defense. And Auburn has Janiah Broome, who will be in the National Player of the Year conversation behind Cooper Flagg. Broome has been absolutely incredible this year and is a massive reason why they are one of the top teams, the top team in the country, averaging 18.7 points and 11 rebounds a game. That'll be a massive matchup to watch. But at the same time, if Creighton cannot shut down the arc, it could be a long day for the Blue Jays. But I do think that with how they're playing right now and how Auburn has looked the past couple of games, it'll be an interesting matchup tomorrow. Absolutely. One pick that I like today, Bryant Bulldogs plus 17.5 over the Michigan State Spartans. Enjoy day 2 of the 2 greatest days of sport watching, the NCAA tournament. I've been Matt McMaster, and you've been listening to Take 5.